Tried and true.
Memorial.
I might be more fired up about this press conference than any press conference ever. You guys want to know why? Because of reps, okay? This is my second year, okay? And Friday of week 1 press conference, it's a phenomenal time for us to be teammates, because here's what's going to happen. We're gonna talk about injuries, and then like nothing's happened this year. We're basing it off last year, but it's this year's season. So whatever you guys have in store for writing articles, I can't wait to help write them, and I have no idea what it's going to be about. So let's go.
It's a strange presser. I guess I begin with Tehran. He hasn't practiced in over 3 weeks. He's got 3 injuries. So if you think rationally, it would seem unlikely he would play Sunday. However, here is the magic question. Are you ready to confirm that he is out Sunday, or would you prefer, for gamesmanship reasons, to wait until Ann Nolan gives us the injury report in 3 hours and 52 minutes?
Am I ready to confirm whether or not I'm rational? No. Yeah, I think you get a little meat to this answer. Here's what I will say. Especially, I'm sure you guys have talked to Tehran. I know his expectation has been the entire time to play week 1, and if he has the final say, if Chris Greer and the boys decide to fire me and make him the head coach today, he'll definitely be playing. However, want to take a look at him this afternoon and really kind of make a concrete decision for Sunday. So I think by today we'll have an answer for Sunday. And literally the only reason there's even a debate is because it's my job to protect players from themselves. And it's my job, with the aid of all sorts of well-intentioned, very well-schooled individuals, is that we do what's best for the Dolphins for the entirety of the season. So we, going through that process, making sure that there continues to not be setbacks, more that we're trying to do something for the long haul, and we'll assess it today and see where that leaves us.
So you will be practicing?
Well, I'm depending on the timing, and I don't comb the time that you guys are out there. You may or may not see him, depending on the timing of it. But we're gonna put him through some stuff to see where he's at, so we don't we can take care of both sides of the coin there.
Some stuff meaning physical activity, but not practice, is what you're saying, or actual practice?
It will be to be determined on the practice, in terms of the later stage of it, kind of assessing stuff that is football related. I won't be putting him through like back handsprings. It will be that, just to kind of see the state of the union, but we'll assess.
Coach, once upon a time, Derwin James was awarded All-Pro to 2 different positions. Not many guys like that in the league. How difficult is it to prepare for a defense that has a chess piece like that?
No, I think it's a problem that NFL teams generally have some game-changing players on them on offense or defense. So it's rare you go a week without having an issue that, if you don't prepare for, will bite you hard. With this particular player, it's even more unique because of the versatility, the amount of places that the coaches teach him and that he can learn. He's all over the place, and when you are dealing with some unknowns in terms of it's week 1, so you don't really know, I haven't been in the Chargers building all off season, so you don't know what they have in store, but he's a featured player. So every person on the offense needs to know where he's at and his playmaking ability. So it's one of the challenges of the NFL process. It's not completely foreign, but because he's a unique, special player, it is a different sort of formula than a lot of the better players in the league present.
Coach, when you see the preparation for week 1 in Tehran, a situation looming, guys like Keon Smith, who's one of your undrafted guys who made the team this year, have you seen a progression from training camp, his performance, to now preparing for week 1, and what's your thoughts on his preparation?
Absolutely. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that one of the great things about having, that 90-man roster that was speaking of all the hard decisions and the depth is that there's not a player on the team that didn't develop. Because if they didn't develop, they literally wouldn't be here because we had so many options. So we are seeing better versions of within our scheme of each and every player. When you really look at it from that perspective, Keon's a guy that I've highlighted a ton within the whole team because he's really, really gravitated to the particular coaching, and it's clicked for him in terms of what we're asking him to do. So what does that mean? He's really tried difficult techniques, fully committed. And that's a hard thing for offensive linemen to do because when you're trying different techniques and it doesn't work, everybody knows about it. And so he's really attacked that process, and because he's attacked it that way, he's gotten significantly better this year. So we have he's a great guy to highlight amongst a lot of people that are going along the same journey. And that's what happens when you have detailed coaching that's committed from their position coaches to anybody that's discussing football with them, and then you have guys that are not trying to get through it; they're trying to be their best versions. So he's a cool one, like a lot of the guys.
On a similar front, what about your confidence in Kendall if he has to go in for
Kendall's a great example of a guy that has found a place on a team that had been through some trials in his career, but I mean, last year he made an impact so early in the room about how he goes about his business. He uses every slight that's happened to him to his advantage, not disadvantage, and he's a core piece of the locker room at this point, which says a lot. So my confidence is high just because I see better than I hear, and he's shown me as consistent really as anybody what I can expect, what his teammates can expect from him, and that's a guy that there's nothing more important to him than what he needs to deliver on for himself and his teammates. So anytime he's on the field, I get excited for him because he's been down the rigors of the NFL journey for a player that's not, a lottery pick, so to speak, and he's coming out a better version than he went in.
I did want to follow up on Kendall Land. Where is he from a technique standpoint and the principles and the things that you guys are teaching? I know he's been through so many different systems, but you guys teach things a little bit differently.
No, so those are the guys that you learn the most about with regard to who the people are, with offensive linemen that are veterans that have been in the league, that have been coached in different ways, and watching the progression here where we're very concrete in like what we're looking for and very aware of the times that's way different. And it's so hard when it's it's an old dog, new tricks analogy. Like, it is really hard for guys to be like, wait, you want me to do this other thing that I would never have done ever in my career to get to this point? That's a trust fall. And so when watching his progression shows you more than anything the amount of deliberate, like, fixation on certain things to watch the techniques evolve. Where he was at last year versus this year is not even close. And he did one of the harder things that players do in this league, is play in a regular season game a couple weeks after arriving to a team. So that I think we kind of hedged our bet. We felt pretty confident in the person that he'd be able to have an off season like he has, and he has only exceeded expectations. So fired up for his opportunities whenever they arise.
You have very interesting. You have interesting decisions. I'm sorry, just gonna ask you real quick
Should
on
we louder?
receivers. You have interesting options when you go 3 or 4 receivers. That's obviously with Braxton, Cedric Wilson, and Eric and River. How much time have you and Wes and Frank talked about snap allocation among those 4, and how tough a call is it in terms of playing time to give each of those 4 when you go 3 or 4 wide receiver sets?
No, so when you have capable players that have different skill sets, it forces you to be you have to make decisions or educated guesses or formation decisions or earlier in the week, so that you can kind of steer people in a certain direction on what to focus on. The more talent you have, that's never a bad problem. More skill sets, hopefully you can utilize them the best, and that can be diverse. It's something that has to be detailed early and often because of the different multiplicity, and because you're trying to involve everyone. It's not as simple as, okay, these 3 go out here. So by and large, a lot of communication has to occur the entire week. I have to be clear with distinctions and personnels. If I want 3 wide receivers but a different assortment of them, those are things that we have to work together in a fluid way. Players have to be on it and attentive during the game, and it's fun involving everybody. So it's a good problem to have. It's something that I think there's a way and then to take advantage of depth at that position. So that's what I'm excited about.
See, and then to get the jump, I interrupted your answer. I apologize for that. How would you?
Yes?
Yes.
Oh.
How would you assess Brandon Jones' readiness level from a physical standpoint to handle a major role on defense if he were called upon to do so?
Well, all right, that's a vet right there, conceding. Yeah, okay. That's first and foremost. That was our priority in assessment from this whole off season, because again, you're trying to make sure that you're coming back the best version that you possibly can, and that's a process. So we're very, very attentive to the physical part of that, and I'm very happy with Brandon. I'm very happy with the training staff, because I think for a normal timeline purpose, he's done everything he could and more, and I feel very good about his physical ability to play within the defense. And for him, it's trying to make up the reps that are lost live, and that process in a new defense. it's not linear. When it clicks, and each and every day he's been getting better and better at getting to that click spot. So I'm very happy with where he's at because he's a big part of the team. That's a very impactful player, and I feel pretty confident, as confident as one can be in the game of football, that we've done right by him and the Dolphins with our progression that will continue as his he gets caught up.
A lot of your pass game versus their coverages from last year, but how important can the run game be in this winter?
Well, this game, it's important. Next week, it's not. I think when you to be what we're all trying to be, to go after goals, to win football games, in this league, they get paid to, and they're good at it. So you have to show a progression during the course of the season of getting better at both running and passing the ball. This game, will be no different in that I want to see what I've seen in practice in the games, and that's my litmus test. I think all plays that are called, the idea of them is for them to work. All of them. Literally every play, we're like, yeah, we hope this works. Some will, some won't. I think overall, the game will take care of itself. You kind of have to, you're playing football against an opponent. And so what I'm hoping for is if they are fully committed to one phase or the other, they're fully committed to defending pass, hopefully we can execute run plays. If they're loading up the box, hopefully we can execute pass, and vice versa. That's always the way I'll look at it. And here, the value of a balanced offense is never lost on us. So we'll never be satisfied, even if things are good, if it's just one-sided either way.
I saw a podcast with your childhood friend Dan Soder
Oh.
talking about the many pick sixes you score on him in Tecmo's Super Bowl back in the day.
Oh.
And every snap he said you were pulling off Deion Sanders and picking him off. Is it safe to say that's where you first developed your football genius and maybe your trash talk?
Well, genius, huh? Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm qualified for that. In terms of developing football passion, it probably, I think I got my first video game as a reward for straight A's, right? And so whenever those maybe it was first grade or something, I once I got my hands on video games, that was a game changer. And at Tecmo Super Bowl, college football, all those games, I spent way too much time. And it's probably why I was able to, at the time when we're talking about with Dan Soder, I was 4'10" in 7th grade, right? And probably didn't have that much to talk crap about, just in general in life. So video games are a nice outlet. Being good at Tecmo Super Bowl allowed me to, lay off some steam probably on my taller, more manly looking friend. But hey, listen, prime time. No, it's real, and it was obnoxious. And then I would get upset that, like, dude, you don't want to play anymore? Like, come on, man, this is like 2 games. I'll be a different team. That'd be the Raiders and have Bo Jackson do the same thing. But, yeah, you live and you learn.
I was a Christian Okoye guy, Nigerian Nightmare.
Yeah. Steve Atwater wouldn't let me be this. I wasn't allowed. For my fandom of Steve Atwater, I couldn't be the Chiefs ever.
Yeah.
I mean, but I had a poster of him. I was a Broncos fan, but like he was an outlier. He did both, so it's like, yeah, whatever. You can cheer for the, once in a century athlete. So, all right, that's all you guys got.
Thanks, Mike.
All right,
Good luck Sunday.
I hope we wrote a good article today. Maybe.